Hey Garrett, this is Mike Fortner looking over your post here on action and reaction, Newton's third law. Boy, you got a lot of forces there in your picture. Let's kind of unpack this for just a minute and make sure I understand it. You've got the person F sub m, that force. I'm going to assume that's force of man. I don't know. So that's going this direction. You got the force of the ball acting on I'm assuming the man's hand after it touches. So you've got the force of gravity here, normal force acting up. Normal force is just supporting the ball. Frictional force is probably preventing the ball from moving easily. This forward force here, I'm not quite sure if this means forward force or frictional force or something, but I'm gonna assume that this is a force acting here after the finger has touched the ball. And if there's enough force here, and there's a small enough amount of friction here, the ball would begin to move, because you have a force acting on it. That would cause acceleration, and that would also cause reaction force back in the hand, right? Okay. What if the ball didn't move? If the ball didn't move, that doesn't necessarily change the amount of force applied, unless the guy says, "I want the ball to move," and it pushes harder. But that's going to cause a greater force here. What we're talking about in the action-reaction pair is just the initial contact between F sub m and the friction, or pardon me, and the ball's force. Which is not necessarily friction, but that's okay. What we're talking about here is the initial force here impacting the force here. After that, all bets are off, because then it might have enough force to overcome static friction and roll down the table. It might not too. It might be a very round egg, and if you hit it too hard with the force, it might just break. It might be a very, very robust egg and would break the person's finger. All we're talking about here is this very initial touching of these forces, and and they have to be the same. After the initial touching's over, they're still going to be kind of the same, but if you keep pushing on this to make it move, that will change the situation a little bit. I hope this is not too confusing, but if it is, just text me or email me.